Hi, I'm Zoustus, and this is Uru. Specifically, this is Myst Online Uru Live again, it's called, or MOULa, the online version of Uru. And yeah, this is I guess you'd call it the Ages Beyond Myst run. So the original game release was called Ages Beyond Myst, Uru Ages Beyond Myst. And so it's that portion of the game that I'll be running here. So I have to make a new character. We can name it whatever. We're going to name ours... what should we name ours? How about... Steminasuchus. That's a good name. So I've done a pretty major rerouting of this game recently. It was very inactive. The most recent runs had been about 4 years ago. And so I decided to do some routing work on it, see if I can get the time down. Got to have the ribbon shirt or your run isn't valid. Everybody knows that. I do have my splits up because I kind of use them as a guide to remind myself. So this game is sort of an Easter egg hunt. I'm finding these things called journeys. And I have to complete several different ages. But there's some interesting stuff in here. I have to set up my options first. Time doesn't start until first movement. So turn up the sensitivity a little bit. Stay in first person would be nice. I have to reset the controls with each new character. All right, and we are off. This game has tank controls, but you can sort of approximate a real control scheme by using first-person mode and holding down the right mouse button to look around. So we started in a place called Relto. That's kind of our hub. But we need to go basically through this age, which is actually, this is New Mexico, to unlock the 4 other ages. And in the Myst canon, ages are like worlds, basically, that you reach through magic books. And those 4 ages are what we need to complete to actually finish the game. So we're here. This area is called the Cleft. I know it looks like a volcano, but there is a cleft. We'll be seeing it shortly. Yeah, so the general idea is there are these kind of burlap tapestries called journeys or journey cloths. And there are 7 in each age, and there are 7 here in the Cleft that you need to get to be able to kind of move past this magic door and leave or finish the age. But that takes a while, especially here in the Cleft where they're kind of spread out. So what I'm going to try to do is something called Cleft Skip. I'm going to jump up onto this rock here and then see if I can get it. Might take a few tries. Okay, I was a little too far left there. Alright. And got it. And hopefully... yeah, got it. Alright. So there we just skipped through the entirety of the whole Cleft. And saved some time doing it. So instead of running all over hither, thither, and yon trying to get those journey cloths, we just cheated. All right, next up we're going to go to an age called Garrison. Garrison's an odd one. It's very cycle-based. It has these rotating fortresses with ramps that you need to use to access places. And they rotate quite slowly, so a huge part of the whole game, in fact the whole first half of the game pretty much, is dictated by how well you manage the Garrison cycles. And the cycles are set when you first enter Garrison. So I know how much time I have to accomplish certain tasks. So the first thing we're going to do is go over here, and we get a like a PDA, basically. It's called a key. We'll need it to open the doors here in this age. And then we can go over here. This is one of those journeys I was talking about. All right. We don't have a way to just skip any of the other ages, only the cleft. So we got one journey, one down, 6 to go, but it'll take a while before we're done here in Garisen. We'll have to come back here multiple times because of the whole cyclical nature of it. And jump over here. And run over here. And we have to do a little parkour up here. Cross this very rickety plank. And go into this extremely safe crack in the wall with a giant rotating gear behind it. So, making this cycle, this is the first of those cycles I was talking about. This one is a 50-second cycle. So I just know that I have enough time to do what I did and still make the cycle. Basically, the fortress is rotating, and now we're in the wall, watching sort of the fortress rotate past us, scraping the skin off our nose in the meantime. So I have to do this. The next chamber is has another journey, and it will let me turn on the power, which will activate the doors so I can actually get places here in Garisen. So this ends up being the one puzzle in Garisen of how to get the power turned on. You have to stand on this pressure plate to raise this weight to give you enough time to activate everything. It's a timed puzzle. Wait for audio cue. There, that low groan. So you have to kind of hustle here. So you engage the kind of the pistons, and then you release the locks on the big gear, and then you activate the big gear. Get a little cutscene and go back here. Whoop. There we go. Turn the elevator on, because we will need the up elevator. And grab that. Now we can head out of here to our Relto, because we have a magic book that lets us just travel directly to our Relto. So I've got some time before I need to go back to Garisen, because there's a particular cycle that I want to hit. It's the best cycle that makes things fastest. So I have a little time to spare. So in that time, I can go open up these pedestals for the other 3 ages. And then I'm going to head into this one. This one's called K-Talisa. This one's kind of an interesting age. Very pretty. Basically a series of puzzle locks set up by this kind of paranoid dude named Kadish to keep people out of his vault. That was weird. I got like a not responding error. Or not error, but it sat there and was like not responding. I haven't seen that happen before. Okay, so we jump to here and grab that. We have a little extra time built in here for making the cycle, so hopefully we'll be okay. So, normally you'd have to set some scopes. There was one scope back there where we just were. Excuse me. There's another scope coming up, and then there will be a third scope. Normally you'd have to set those to the correct positions in order to open the door, basically, to move past the first puzzle. But we're not going to do that. That's kind of slow. So what's faster is to just skip it, which you can do here in the online version. You'll notice sometimes that my momentum just stops. That's not me lifting up my finger. The game just puts a hard stop on my momentum sometimes. That's the third of those scopes that I was talking about. So normally you'd have to get them all in the right position and then a door opens up here. But what you can do instead is jump up here like this and run around and just kind of clip through the wall and do that instead. Alright. We can teleport back to these journeys, which is why I usually leave right after getting one. Alright, now we're going to head back to Garisen, and we want to go to the front door. So we'll load in here and run to that elevator that we were sure to power on. Otherwise we'd have no way of getting up there. So now that the power is on, some of these closed doors will actually open for me, like this one. And the elevator will work now. You see that when you click stuff, your character kind of shuffles awkwardly into position. So I'm trying as much as I can to get into a reasonably good position ahead of time to save time on that. Alright, should be good on this. Alrighty. So here we're on the one rotating fortress, the guardhouse area, and that's the big rotating fortress over there that we need to get to. But this is the cycle that we wanted to hit. There's a bug in the offline version of this game where you actually fall through this rock pillar on a modern PC. Kind of stinks. But that doesn't happen on MOULa, the online version, so we're good. And you can see how this lines up pretty nicely, and we can jump pretty quickly onto this long bridge here. So we're going to run into the main fortress. There's another journey in there that we need to grab, and then we're going to teleport out again. And that will get us to 5 out of 6 journeys in Garisen. We can't get to the last 2 until a little later, because they're in an area that's only accessible from one of the other 3 ages. So getting this cycle to work out was a big part of what my rerouting was working on to speed this whole run up quite a bit. Alright. We are into the fortress. Up we go. So by hitting this cycle, we get to the exact correct room from the bridge that we come in on. We don't have to run around the inside of the fortress, which saves quite a bit of time. Alright. So, that's 5 out of 7. Next up, we are heading to an age called Teledyne. Here we go. Teledyne has a bunch of rusty machinery and giant mushrooms. It's kind of Morrowind-esque. There's that random momentum stoppage. Alright. The first journey is kind of a freebie there. So it's not very helpful for being able to link back to it yet. You haven't seen it yet, but we will be using links to get directly back to specific journeys, and some of the routing takes that into account, bypassing a journey until later when we want to pick it up, because we want it to be the active one. Because only the most recent journey that you click in each age is the active journey that you can link to. This has a numeral 3 on it. You just have to know that that's a 3. You can move during the cutscene, but it's a little hard because it pans up above where you can see. So that raises this like solar dish thingy. Oop, I can turn on this lever. It doesn't do anything quite yet. And then I have to get this to track the sun. Alright. So now we're sun tracking. Now these levers start doing things and start turning on the power here. One of them is broken, the one that does that. I have no idea what it's even supposed to do. It's just kind of a red herring lever there to trick you and make you wonder. Alright, and so now we need to activate this kind of bucket system. That starts a timer. that lets us hop into this bucket that will transport us up to a control room. So, we get a little cutscene here. The backstory is that this place was used to like harvest spores to make mushroom bread or something. And so these are the big buckets that carried spores up to the processing facility up here. But we are going to use it as a gondola. There's an elevator that goes down to where we started, but it's not powered on currently. Well, it is powered on now, I think. No, I guess it isn't. Maybe no, I can't remember if it's powered on or not, because I don't go that way. So here's a journey. I think it must be powered on, yeah, because we're going to use it to go up from here. Alrighty. So we take this elevator and we're going to go up and grab another journey that's up in this kind of bedroom up here. Okie dokie. Go down. And now we're going to try to see if we can't hop onto... Come on. Usually this goes a little faster. There we go. There we go. Got it. And we can use that to clip through and drop all the way down here. Normally you'd have to unlock a hatch and drain all the water, and then go down an elevator, and then climb down this long, slow ladder, and then climb down this ladder. So we skipped a lot of that by just jumping over the invisible walls, and there's no actual collision on the water or anything, so you just fall right through down into the basin. Saves quite a bit of time. Something like, I think, at least 50 seconds that it saves by doing that. Alrighty, so we're into the secret slave pens. And this is another puzzle that you have to figure out how to kick rocks onto these pressure plates. It's kind of fiddly, honestly. The rocks are kind of fiddly. Stay. Yeah, there you go. There we go. Fortunately, the last one, you can just run across. Alright, so we're out of the prisons area. Not right now, please. Okay, thank you. Alrighty, so we're out of there, and we just kind of run into that drawbridge to knock it down. And now we're kind of on the quiet backside of Teledyne in this age. We do a little more parkour up to here. Grab another journey. And now we're about to head back to Garrison again, because there's a secret stone tablet thingy that actually takes us to the uppermost reaches of that fortress. And it's the only way to get there. And then drop down this into the sewer area, I suppose. So there's one in that cell. That was a prison cell. Kind of handy of them to leave easy access to a sewer with a ladder, though. I don't know about that. A little odd construction design. And then run over here. Another of those doors that opens because we turned the power on. And now we have another slow ladder climb. The ladders in this game are remarkably slow. And then we'll snag the last journey in Garisen. Now we're not quite done with it at that point because we still have to get to that door that I mentioned. The magic door to escape it. But, and then we'll actually have to come back one more time as well. Spoilers. Alright, so we link out to our Relto. Alrighty. And now we're going to link back to Teledyne. This is the Teledyne book. Now this is using one of those journey links, so that actually takes me directly to the last journey that I used. Open this slow door. We're going to skip this journey right here, because I actually want that to be the last one, because it's right by the magic door. But I need to shoot a rock with a weird harpoon gun in order to get to one of the journeys. So, here we're using the gun. There are the rocks over there. Nope. Alright. Oops. Alright. Alright, so now we are heading back into Garisen. And hopefully we are okay on time for the cycle. So we're going to head back to that same elevator because the door in Garisen is outside in the outdoor area. So we're going to need to remake that jump that we made before. And we'll see how good we are on time. Yeah, it should be okay. It'll be tight, but we'll make it. If I don't get randomly stopped. Alright, we made the cycle. Hooray! We grab this one again because we are going to need to link back here. This is the faster but scarier way of doing it. There's a very slightly slower but much less scary way of making two jumps instead of the one. Might do that next time because we'll have to make that jump again. Alright, and so now we've gone through the magic door. And we just have to wait for loading, which unfortunately sometimes takes quite a while in this game. Kind of randomly can hose you with super long load times. And it appears to be doing that right now. There it is.
Your journey has begun. You can't imagine how
So that's unfortunate that it just decided to be incredibly slow and lose a ton of time. Usually doesn't do that till the end of the game, but it can happen at any time. Apparently. Alright. So we are now done with Garisen mostly. Now we're heading back to Teledyne. This time we're going to climb up a ladder. The ladder dropped down because we shot that rock. There we go. So there's a journey up here that we need. To get out of here, there's a risky strat that is cool looking and saves some time, but is really hard to pull off. So, in the interest of safety, I'm not going to do that. I could show it off. It would lose probably 30 seconds if I failed it. Alright. Come on, let me through. I might show it off. We'll see. It lets you kind of jump right down into here, basically. Alright, so we got that, and now we can finish up Teledyne. So, once again, we enter the magic door. Hopefully the load time isn't as long. No? That time it was fine.
Peace to you, mover of the least.
Okay.
7 more
we jump into
journeys have
space
moved you
again.
closer.
Because, of course, when you see, you know,
seduced while
a
in
starry expanse of void, you just jump in. So it's the natural thing to do. Really, anyone would do it. Okay, next up we are going to Gira. This is actually a pair of ages, Gira and Kamo. They kind of work together to get solved. Gira has these steam vents that you have to like cover up with these cover plates to increase the pressure, so it'll launch you up in the air, but we don't want to do that. That's kind of slow. So we're just going to do that, and jump and click the journey. You're supposed to get launched up by the pressure of the steam. You can really just do that and jump, and it works. So that's good. This one I'd like to back off, because otherwise you tend to overshoot and can fall into the lava that's below. And falling into the lava is generally not good. Most of the time. Also, you're supposed to get launched up by the steam to cross this little rock bridge area over here, but if you do it right, you don't have to. You can just sort of climb up here if you fail it. Hey, we made it. Alright, second try. Not terrible. So instead of, getting launched up by the steam, we just kind of jumped over it. Alrighty. There's a fish trap right here that I need to use to push into position because we need to get... Ultimately, we're trying to get some fireflies from the other age that I mentioned, Kamo. And we have to bring them here, and so they don't like water, and so you have to walk across the water. And so you need something to walk on, so you use the fish trap. Alright. Oh, that lost a lot of time. That's okay. We were doing real well before. Alright, so this is Kamo. This one is pretty straightforward. It's really just a walk in the park, quite literally. It's called a garden age. Just an Easter egg hunt. You wander around finding the journeys, and that's all you really need to do. Except for, as I mentioned, getting the fireflies. So, there was another journey that we just skipped to our left, because again, I want that to be the last one I get, because the door we just passed was on the right. And I need to come back through all of these ages, so I want the last journey I click to be the one that is closest to the door for my return visit to each age. Zip up here and grab this one. Alrighty. And now we will say hi to our firefly friends. You just sort of walk into them. Now, when I say walk, I do mean walk. The rules of the Fireflies are that if you jump, they get mad, and if you jump a second time, they leave you. If you go into water or steam, they leave you. If you run, they start depleting at like 1 firefly per second or something like that. I don't actually know the rate. But if you sprint, they will pretty quickly not be with you anymore. And we need them because they provide a light aura. And there's a dark cave, actually a couple that we need to go through. You could walk through the caves in the dark if you just learn the route, but there's a journey in there that the game will not allow you to click on unless there's a light source. So we need our Firefly buddies. Now, the puzzle is designed for you to do 2 cycles with Fireflies, but again, that's slow. We don't want to do that, so we're going to do it in 1 cycle. And I will show you how that is done. Got to be careful here, because there's a steam vent right in front of you when you blink in. They did that on purpose, just to be mean. Alright, so this is why we placed that fish trap, so we can walk across that. And then you're supposed to have to jump here and use your one jump that you have. But it turns out you can actually just kind of sprint into the wall. And you'll lose a Firefly or 2, but you won't lose all of them. And you haven't used your jump that way. Because like I said, 1 jump is okay, 2 jumps and they leave. And we will need that jump coming up here. So here's the first dark cave. You can navigate this one in the dark. It's fine. But the problem being, as I mentioned, the journey is in the next dark cave. Alright, jump over here. That's our 1 jump we're allowed with the Fireflies. Alright, we got it. And now we can sprint off. And head back to Ader Kamo and get that last journey that we intentionally skipped. And then just head out the door. So the Aders aren't too bad. They're kind of self-contained. And one of the reasons, so this is the online version of the game, as I mentioned. There's an offline version of the game as well called Complete Chronicles. One reason why I like this run better is, well, there's more out-of-bounds tech that you can do, which is fun. You move a little faster, the parkour is way easier. And yeah, there's just more tricks and fun things that you can do. All right, we have entered the door. Apparently we're going to lose most of our time here today to long load screens. And that's just an unfortunate reality. There's really nothing I can do about that. So I'll be a little generous with my estimate.
You return again. Return to hear more. Return for a 3rd pillar.
Unlucky to
It's
get
an
2
interesting cycle,
extremely
coming and going,
slow
giving and taking.
load times. Yeah, that's kind of lame. I thought this might have been a PB. We were moving along pretty well. But that's the way it goes. Alright, on to K-Talisa, which we've been to before. That's the one that had the puzzle that we skipped by jumping through a tree. Well, now we get to continue it. Alrighty. Moving on from the 3rd journey here. And we skipped the first puzzle. We move towards the 2nd puzzle. This one's kind of interesting. You have to turn on some lights, and then there's like a pathway on the floor, but it's actually not the pathway that's lit up you need to walk. It's a pathway that's not lit up, and it's to a place that's not the obvious door. So, but you don't actually need to turn on the lights to do it. If you know what you're doing, you can just kind of walk the path, and it works. That's all you got to do. So, that was the 2nd puzzle. Pretty simple. Now we do a little more running. It's pretty though, isn't it? I think it's lovely. A giant purple pyramid with a ball on the top. Some really cool level design, world design. And there is a sneaky hidden journey right back here. So we will snag that. This next puzzle is ultimately pretty similar to the previous one in that it involves walking a path. So you just kind of, as long as you know the path, you just kind of walk it. And that solves the puzzle. Figuring out what the path is much more of a pain, and is not at all obvious. It's pretty obtuse, honestly. But once you know how to do it, it's quite easy. Alright, next puzzle. So here we have to pull a series of levers. In order to gain, well, first, to gain access to a journey cloth. And then again to actually, solve the puzzle. This one is unfortunate because it involves the lever pulling, which is kind of slow, and a lot of ladder climbing, which is unbelievably slow. But don't know of any way to skip it. So, we'll admire this lovely purple color as we climb. And yeah, that'll be pretty fun. So up at the top here is a journey, pretty easy to get to. Alrighty. Then we leap back down, totally safe. Fortunately, there's no such thing as fall damage in this game. We skipped this journey real quick because we knew we would have time right now to hit it. And we have to wait for all of these pillars to lower before pulling the next lever, or else, well, it's slower. Alright. One more pull of this lever and we should have it solved. Fortunately, we can move during the cutscene. It's a little awkward because I have to do it with the tank controls on the keyboard. But once I get onto the ladder, I can actually just hold forward and my character will keep climbing and running to the next ladder. While I sit here and watch the cutscene. So, productive cutscene management, I suppose. Alright. Getting to the top of this one, but there's still another. I'm sorry to have to tell you. But this is an even longer ladder. And that's part of why this puzzle takes so long. After the previous two were just, walk a path and then you're done. This one involves a lot more finagling and climbing. But it will lead us to the last puzzle in this age, which is actually very fast to input. And another kind of cool visual coming up because we will have reached the Vault of Kadish. There it is. Kind of a neat view. This vault suspended by these weird, spiky rods. It's quite striking. So, this one, it's a puzzle that you have to figure out, but once you know it, you just click the buttons in the right order and it's straightforward. So, 1, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6. That's all it is. And now we have access to the Vault of Kadish. There's Kadish. He's dead. Hi, Kadish. Oops. This parkour is not my favorite thing in the game, but it's way better than it is in the offline version. The parkour is just kind of nightmarishly difficult, honestly. It's really frustrating to lose time on a run due to bad parkour. Jump here. Ugh, scary. And drop down here onto one of these rods. Now that we've hit all of the journeys, we can just make our way to the magic door. Oops. Undo that. Getting unlucky with my loading speeds. Could be a function of how much everyone is on the internet now with the whole, well, the COVID-19 issue that's going on here. Normally these loads are much faster, but you know, we take what we can get.
The bones of Guildmaster Kadish speak louder than words.
All right.
His bones are the
So now
bones
we
of
have
Denis.
completed the 4
He clung to
ages
the
that
teachings of good
we were trying to
King
complete.
Who required good citizens to complete.
And we are ready to, well, do them again. But, and that's why I was careful to always get the journey that was closest to each one, or to each door. So we start out with Garisen, and we want to go to the journey cloth. I'm always careful to hit that one journey that's outdoors. Okay, so I did the scary jump before. This time I'll do the safe jump, I guess. It's not much slower, and it's way, way, like, safer and easier. I actually prefer it, but it is a little slower. So I usually do the risky one. So we just head straight to the door. Now it's these loads that usually cause me a lot of grief. And maybe they will again. Alright, so that symbol on the floor I call target. So, write that down, because that is a randomized code that I need to enter to actually end the game. Or it's part of a randomized code, I should say. Next up, I'm going in a specific order here. Next up is Ada Kamo, which is this one. And we turn to the right and head over here to the door. This one's nice and straightforward. No jumping, no crazy stuff. You just kind of zip over to the door and head on in. All right. I call that symbol I for probably obvious reasons. Because it looks sort of like an eye. Also looks like a, what's that Pokemon? Magnetite or something? Or Voltorb or something? No, Magnetite. Come on. Alright, next we go to Teledyne. Teledyne, I turn left, that's correct. Teledyne's the closest one, the closest journey to a door. So that's quite convenient. And wait for a loading. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Alright, comb is what I call that one. We fall down into a giant cavern with orange water. Don't worry about it. That's the Cavern of Denis, but that's not really important right now. What's important is that we're heading back to K-Talisa to go through the door again and get the last symbol that we need. Alright. Say bye to Kadish one last time. Oop. That's always scary. There we go. That's a little scary too. Now, if you fall, you don't die. You just get linked back to Relto, but it ends up costing you a good, 30 seconds, which is why you try not to do it. And we'll see how long this load takes. Oh, that wasn't too bad. All right. There we go. And that last one, which looks, I don't know, vaguely like some sort of glyph or pictogram or something. Alrighty, and this crack has been growing as we have redone the ages. And now it collapses and we can jump into space. And as everybody knows, jumping into space leads you back to New Mexico. I mean, that's just science. That's just how science works. So, yes, we jumped into space. We arrived back here in New Mexico. Don't worry too much about why that is the case. There's lore reasons, but yeah, here we are. And so we find ourselves back at the cleft. Now, we didn't do anything actually in the cleft when we first arrived. We just kind of skipped it. But now we need to actually do something. We need to get the power on so that we can input that code that we just got into an imager device so that we can end the game. So we climb down this ladder, and this bridge will break under us if we're not careful, but we were careful to land on the rail and jump, and that makes it so that you can actually, well, avoid breaking it, basically. And let's see if I can pull this off. Hey, all right. Do a quick skip to get back. Quick little out-of-boundsy skip there that lets you skip the bridge going back, which means it'll still be there for when we come back down into the cleft. We have to run around here. What we just did was we clicked a lever that released a brake on this windmill. We couldn't power it up before, but now that we've released that, we can get the windmill started. So that's good. Come on. So we head back down the ladder. Cool. Good job. Alright, so we want this one to be the eye shape, and this one to be the comb shape, and this one to be the glyph shape. There we go.
An ending has been written.
There it is.
You've done all this.
Well, despite all those slow load times, I'm happy to have not been too far behind my PB. Got pretty unlucky with 3 very slow load times. That's more than usual. Usually I only get like 1 really slow load. It's an online game, so what can you do? But yeah, that's the run. Uru, Ages Beyond Myst, run on the online version, MOULa. Again, I'm Zaustus. Thanks for your consideration, and I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.